right, you guys, let's move on to our next segment. Who is the best prep development team in the U.S.? There have been so many schools, so many programs that come into mind, and I know each of us have our own that we feel like does a really great job of preparing the athletes for that next level. So in your opinion, Ashley, who would you say would be the best in the U.S. and why?
Well, I got to see them compete this weekend in Michigan, and I feel like Motor City Track Club has to be the best kind of developmental program in the country. I mean, I just saw, over the weekend how dominant they are, especially on the girls' sprint side, and they've just have a long history of developing top tier athletes. Looking at what they did just this weekend alone at Michigan Indoor States, they go 1, 2, 3 for the second straight year in the 60-meter hurdles. Then I think the most impressive thing though came the 400, where they went 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 7. I mean, that's just like, how do you get like 6 athletes that are all going? They all went under 57.5 in that 400-meter event indoors. That's just kind of mind-blowing. And, I feel like you look at some of their, older leaders like Nona Waldron and stuff like that, and seeing the development they've had over their 4 years, and you can see that whatever formula Motor City has, it works. And, they're going to be good for years to come, too, as we saw, Nevaeh Burns, the 8th grader, won the 400 in 54.21. So, I think it's hard to bet against Motor City when they have this long storied history of success, and when you can also see too that they have more athletes in the younger ranks coming up that'll put them into winning position for years to come.
Mm-hmm. Cory, what are your thoughts?
I don't think there's like a stranglehold on the top developmental team, because there's thousands of high schools across the U.S., and we've seen plenty of teams that have had the same layer of success. But I look at it in terms of tiers, and I listed them down. I mean, the particulars that we see often at that national level are Oak Park, which is also Motor City, the Bullis School, Union Catholic, Hoover, DeSoto, and then we also have like clubs that are in the indoor season routinely heard of: Wings, Track Life, Milwaukee Speed, Dry Phase. And then there's that tier 2 for me is academies, where athletes are not necessarily organically placed in these schools, but maybe they find themselves into an academy. That's IMG Academy, that's Montford, and many others. And then tier 3 are the underrated schools that you don't often hear about that are spectacular. Gotta throw out some nods to these schools. Vestavia Hills, amazing ability to produce 400-meter runners. Bishop Laughlin, underrated New York school that has an amazing 400 crop this year. Western Branch doesn't get enough credit, but even after Claude Duquesne left, they're still among the best in Virginia. But for this question, I'm going to have my own pick, and I think that's Hoover High School. Because Hoover, if you look at our 400-meter rankings all the way back to like 2017 and even further, they're always in the top 20 programs in the country for depth. Hoover High School out of Alabama always has guys teams under 51 seconds for 400 meters, and that's not always done. I mean, they don't always have stars. They've had good runners like Jonathan Martin, Jay Avery, and some others, Dorian Austin. But, to get guys in that 49, 50 territory every single year says a lot about the coaching at Hoover. And I know Bullis has stars. Obviously, there's names you hear of. Union Catholic has had stars. Oak Park has had stars, but Hoover, I think, is the one that always is in there that we don't always hear about. I'm going to give him credit.
I like that. I'm going to dive a little bit more into the Bullis School, and Cory and Ashley, as you guys mentioned, Motor City Track Club, Mountain Verde Academy is definitely in that mix, as well as IMG Academy. I feel like the Bullis School, and I'm also in Virginia, so I hear a lot of them just coming in from Maryland. They always have that history. And if you look at it, it's hard to do it individually, right? Like just get 1 or 2 good individual runners. But when you collectively have a unit of the best performers at that distance when it comes to the 400, even the sprints and even all the other events, I really think that speaks volumes that you can not just have one great athlete, but you have 4 of them. And just, looking at the national records at the boys and girls side, they own the 4x2 with a 125.60 and a 134.75. And even just looking at this year on the girls side, Bullis has the fastest times in the country in the 4x2, 4x4, and SMR. And even just looking beyond what they're currently doing now, I even look to see like what they're doing as they move into the collegiate, their collegiate seasons and even professionally as well. But, I just watched the SECs this past weekend. I saw Victoria Perot run. I saw Ryan Wiley finish fourth in the 400 meters. Ashton Allen is also part of that group. But also just thinking about the current athletes now that we can see them drop to that 400 meters or go up to that 400 meters. You have Mila Green, Quincy Wilson, Sydney Sutton, Sage Hinton, and the list just keeps going on. And I think that's super spectacular too, just knowing like at one school, you're able to produce not just one or two athletes, but you have a handful of them that can do amazing things as well. So